Senator Padilla, I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted.
Arando? No, that's why I said Senator Padilla just crashed. The DHS Secretary Noem's press conference in LA was forcibly removed. Damn.
I have questions for the Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
This is an insane amount of manhandling for a politician, man. Jesus Christ. I know we're a state senator, but still.
The Secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
No, he's a U.S. senator? Yeah. Oh, I meant like because they hate California.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have.
They wanted to get him out of there quickly. You said state senator? Did I? Holy shit, I'm tired.
Our agents. Unfortunately.
I wonder when we could see that in the live feed.
Of California. On behalf of my office and the Department of Justice, I'm here to show our support and our collaboration with the Department of Homeland Security in their mission to protect the American people and to do immigration enforcement operations, specifically at targeted known criminals, which is the primary focus of most of our missions to date. I want to also thank the National.
Dude, she looks like such a f***ing freak, man. She's so unnerving to look at.
How they have been doxxed.
Oh, there we go.
I also want to talk about specifically how many of our do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles. I also want to talk about specifically how many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted, and how their families have been put in jeopardy, and that we're not going to allow that anymore as well. That those individuals who are purposely endangering our ICE agents and our law enforcement officers and their families will be of law enforcement. They've been absolute rock stars in what they've done to protect this community and to protect this city. I want to specifically name those that are under the umbrella within our components, under the Department of Homeland Security. That has been our ICE officers who've been on the front line out there interdicting with many of these dangerous criminals. Also HSI with their investigative skill set and tactical teams have been absolutely imperative to us in helping us make sure we're running operations and really targeting these bad actors. Our Federal Protective Services and also our Border Patrol agents have come and been partners with us in an incredible way. They bring a skill set that has helped us have.
Can you answer why she was even picked? Loyalty, that's it. It's the only reason any of them were picked. It certainly wasn't competence. Again, like, I still think genuinely one of the saving graces of the administration is the fact that Kash Patel is like a coke fiend podcaster. Like, the guy who runs the FBI has no interest in doing anything other than appearing on podcasts, so.
A whole of government approach under the Department of Homeland Security that has never happened before. The assets that they have and the willingness to do their jobs that this president has allowed them to do has been absolutely incredible. But what you see standing behind me too is also other federal partners that have come to the table that are here to bring safety and security to the city of Los Angeles. I want to specifically thank the Army. I want to thank the Marines, the National Guard, our soldiers, our military men and women who have shown up here to help make sure that we have security. Not only do they protect our country around the world, but they're doing it every single mayor for their support and their backup in these operations.
What we've done here is taken a whole government approach for this immigration mission. You know, under the last administration, there was millions upon millions of people that we don't know who came into this country. They were let in, that now have turned violent.
You okay, dude?
Criminals. Also, we have known suspected terrorists and gang members. Since January 20th, we've been making arrests in Los Angeles and all around the country. But specifically, we've focused on gang members, human traffickers, violent drug dealers, and rapists. You know, the Secretary brought it up. You know, the rhetoric of a lot of elected officials and people, what really caused this. We've heard so much. If ICE had a criminal warrant, if ICE had a judicial warrant, cities would cooperate with us. On this past Friday, you saw that. You saw the men and women of ICE and these other DOJ partners executing a criminal warrant on a criminal immigration enforcement case. Yet the city turned against us and we had violent protesters. And that just won't happen because—
I'm sorry, did the city send those protesters? Was that the Los Angeles Police Department tossing rocks at you? What?
Because the men and women of ICE won't be deterred by this. We're going to be out there every day conducting our law enforcement mission. No protesters are going to block our way because the brave men and women of ICE and these DOJ parties—
This is what all of ICE was like even before the second Trump administration, by the way. There was no future for the Democratic Party outside of the removal of ICE. It is the entire administrative branch that is like this. If you fired all of them and replaced them with new people, the only people who would sign up would be people exactly like this. There's no way around it, dude. You will always be the enemy to them. They just hate brown people. That's it. That's not like a convenient simplification of their politics. That is literally the end goal of their politics. So they're actually arresting him, huh?
Hands behind your back.
Well,
hands behind your back.
If you don't my hands, go ahead, put them behind my back.
All right, cool. One hand, lay flat, lay flat. Other hand, sir. Other hand. There's no recording allowed out here.
Neat.
I did not know. There's no recording allowed out here per up.
It's so over. It's so f***ing over. We got our first arrested senator. Let's go. That's a senator? Yep, one of the most powerful men in America. Wait, was anything he did illegal? No. Sure, Schumer's writing a very mean tweet right now. Oh, I'm sure. Dude, are they really going to charge him? Are they really going to charge him? If so, like, this is the most... Okay, this is Newsom reacting to Padilla being ousted from the room, not from him being f***ing arrested. What are the charges? Well, I guess we wouldn't know the charges. This just happened. Oh, never mind. We know the charge. Democratic rep... Oh, sorry. This is a different person. I'm reading ahead. I'm reading before I think. Or I'm thinking before I read. Or perhaps I'm talking before I read and not thinking at all. Democratic Rep. LaMonica McIver is indicted on charges of forcibly impeding immigration officers in New Jersey detention facility. I think we've talked about this, haven't we? Look, one thing at a time. Padilla. I was just listening to the congressional hearing with the governors, and the Republicans tried to paint this as him charging the podium. Oh, God, obviously, of course. Everything is an insurrection to them. Everything is an insurrection to them. When are Democrats going to learn? When are Democrats going to learn that, like, well-reasoned, good-faith arguments don't matter? They will lie to your face about something they just did in front of you, and their supporters will believe it. It's not just Trump, it's all of them, and it's their supporters, too. It's the voters, too. Listen, there's no way out of this without acknowledging that. So all in one weekend, we have Marines deployed, big military crackdown, gigantic protest, military parade in D.C. We have the arrest of a senator, and potentially war with Iran. Statement from Padilla's office. Today, the office of U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Immigration Subcommittee, released the following statement after Padilla was forcibly removed from Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem's press conference while performing congressional oversight in Los Angeles. Padilla is currently in L.A. exercising his duty to perform congressional oversight of the federal government's operations in L.A. and across California. He was in the federal building, listened to a briefing. He was asked to remove... Dude, this is your statement? This is the statement of his office, and it's just a description of what happened? The tyrannical Trump regime removed him quickly. So terrified were they of Noem receiving a single critical question. They have arrested him for the crime of caring about his constituents. What? He's not currently detained and we are working to get additional information. Not currently detained. So what? They handcuffed him, stood him around for 3 minutes, and then said he's free to go? I wonder if they'll bring charges against him later.
There's no recording allowed out here. I did not know. There's no recording allowed out here per FBI rights.
Jesus. Here's a Democratic rep talking about his handcuffing.
It is a disgraceful abuse of power. Senator Padilla was handcuffed and dragged out of for daring to ask a question. This wasn't a threat, it's dissent, and they crushed it with force. They're not keeping us safe, they're trying to silence us. We won't back down.
A little better, still sounds forced. Who's that old senator from the cane from U.S. history? That guy wasn't a hero. I wouldn't go lauding him too much. Schumer's response is as strong as you'd expect.
That sickened my... I mentioned a few minutes ago that I had seen a video that sickened my stomach. A U.S. senator being manhandled, we now know, by federal agents and dragged out of a hearing room. Now there's a second video. It's even worse. He's been thrown to the ground. Again, manhandled, brutally taken down, handcuffed. It was disgusting. Anyone who looks at it turns anyone who looks at this, it will turn their stomach to look at this video.
Just the litmus test is, could you imagine a Republican talking like this? Like, not just any Republican, you know, or not one of the prissy ones like Lindsay or whatever, but like, could you imagine one of the members of Trump's administration speaking this way? And if not, why? What's the difference? And the difference in almost every case is that a member of the Trump administration would sound way angrier, way louder, way crazier, and they would be, you know, probably much more incorrect, but we don't need to copy that part.
And see what happened. Reeks of totalitarianism. This is not what democracies do.
This is not.
Senator Padilla.
Jesus Christ, who gestures like that unless they're like acting in a stage play?
Of totalitarianism. This is not what democracies do. Senator Padilla was there, legitimately in that building, to ask questions of what's going on in California, which everybody wants to know answers to. We don't get answers when we ask the administration questions in one way or another. So Senator Padilla was exercising his duty as a senator for his...
Republicans wouldn't care. See, again, look, subtle differences, okay? As a liberal, Schumer's default response here is to process and procedure and responsibility. He had a right to be there. He had a responsibility to be there. The Republicans are violating their procedural obligations by not answering our questions when we go there. Whereas the Republican, they talk about blood, patriotism, pride, and the people. They're populists. So when Republicans won't say shit like the Democrats are not responding to our inquiries, they'll say the Democrats are betraying the people. They'll talk about the Republicans, you know, breaking their oath. They talk about, like, broader concepts, you know?
Constituents to try and find out what happened. And instead, he gets manhandled, thrown out of the room, thrown out on the ground, and handcuffed. We need a full investigation.
Manhandled also is a weak word. You should say viciously assaulted.
Immediately.
Attacked.
As to what happened and who did what and what's going to be done to see that this doesn't happen again. To Senator Padilla.
Weak language also. What's going to be done to see this doesn't happen again? No, you need to talk about punishment. When you say something like, well, let's make sure this doesn't happen again, what you're talking about essentially is preserving the same power dynamic, but making sure that you're not victimized again. It's a language. It's like asking the teacher to step in and make sure you're not bullied again. You know, it's not about retribution. It's not about taking power back. It's not about punishment. You want those things.
Or other American citizens who are seeking their right to redress.
Gay.
It's despicable. It's disgusting. It is so un-American.
Insincere, heavy-handed moralizing language doesn't land well with people. Also, all of this is being delivered by Schumer. So, you know. Massive points dunked for that. Dunked? Docked for that.
So un-American.
Like, Jesus Christ, no one buys this.
We need answers. We need answers immediately.
Very good. What legal options do the Dems have to get out of the situation? Basically none. Democracy's over. Their power now must be social. Oh, Padilla is about to speak live. I don't know how long we're going to be waiting, but I'm actually quite interested in seeing what he has to say.
No. I'll explain why in a minute. Of course.
Might be a little bit, but that's okay. It's going to be dickless if I had to bet. Yeah, probably. I think I'm going to be doing this more often because I feel like with me, what I did with Gavin Newsom last night as well, I feel like a lot of people have a very poor understanding of what I mean when I talk about the Democrats being useless or the Democrats being like ineffective or the Democrats' rhetoric being bad. A lot of people are still looking for legal ways out. Now, let me ask you guys a question, okay? Imagine that it is January 7th, 2021. You are a diehard MAGA guy. You turn to your friend who's knowledgeable on legal issues, and you say, is it over? What legal route can Trump take now? What's the answer to that question? No. No, after Jan 6, Trump was fucked. He wasn't getting the presidency. Biden was going to take power. Trump basically forcibly had the powers of the president removed from him after January 6th, before the inauguration of Biden. Any legal answer there would have been no. So what did Trump do to save himself? It was social and cultural power. A lot of it was the weakness of the Democrats. But if Republicans and Trump had just meekly accepted the fact that they had lost because there was no legal recourse, then Trump would be in prison right now or dead. I guarantee you. The real power they had was through control of the media and relentless discipline with messaging. They were able to build a social environment where they could not only delay the outcome of any, legal battle, but outright end those legal battles as soon as he took office again. Now, it's a combination of do-nothing Dems and Americans having goldfish memories. Yeah, but those are tools that people can use, And it's not like the Republicans are infinitely competent, right? There are plenty of ways in which the Republicans could do a better job of consolidating power than they have. The Democrats have options, Okay, but we don't control the media. Neither did the Republicans in 2021. I don't know if you remember what the media looked like, but even Fox was dissing Trump, okay? You understand what I'm talking about? If you think the only way out here is legal, then there is no way out, and we've lost maybe for the rest of our lives. If that's the only avenue we have, then that's that. But if Republicans had only thought the legal route back then, Trump wouldn't be president now. We'll know when they actually start talking, of course. Jan 6 was supposed to be endgame? Yeah. Well, of course, now in retrospect, January 6 was successful in the long run, much in the same way you could say the beer hall putsch was part of a broader successful strategy. Of course, Hitler actually got arrested after the beer hall putsch, like properly put in jail. So, even in this respect, like we're failing even by Weimar standards. This is Mitch McConnell's fault? No, you expect Republicans to be evil. This is the Democrats' fault. The Democrats failed us. We knew the Republicans were evil. We knew they were fascist. We knew a decade ago that all of this was on their agenda, okay? You can't blame the wolf for being hungry when it gets into the pen, all right? You knew that. You were the one who was supposed to put up the fence. What's going on with the internet? Apparently Google's having some kind of server outage or something. Somebody in chat posted about it. Has anyone heard about a California senator being removed from a conference meeting? Man, people will really just show up in chat and like type something before looking at the chat or the video. Like they might not even be watching the video. They might just have popped into chat, making sure it's getting covered. Kind of ominous. Large-scale cyber attacks against government and military cyber infrastructure in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait, possibly originating from Iran. Possibly originating from Iran? Any reason for that? Whatever. I support Iran's right to wage cyber warfare against the infidels.
While I was waiting for the briefing.
All right, part 2.
Room 206.
10.
Thanks for your time.
Line aside, guys. Line aside. We're right here already. Line aside, guys.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.
Never put your hand on me.
Good afternoon, everybody. Senator Alex Padilla, You guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statement. I'm here.
Really quick point. Sorry to pause. Just want to say we need to stop reading shit from our phones. You need to print that out, okay? Huge aura loss to keep peeking down at your phone when you are reading a statement. I understand reading it from a paper or from a document because you can't remember everything immediately, but you should print it out.
In Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues have been asking the Department of Homeland Security.
Overwhelming weakness to begin with. I don't know how a person can have the drive and ambition to become a senator of the United States and not see this moment as your, like, house of cards, like, I am going to grab the podium with both hands, like, grit my teeth and deliver a speech that'll rock the world. Like, I have no idea how you reach this kind of power while having no drive to power. It's remarkable.
For more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights.
Maybe he's going to start crying. I heard that's a popular DNC strategy. Yeah, they're calling it the Ken Martin. It's very, very popular.
Fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground. And I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this.
You were absolutely detained. They handcuffed you. It was a short detainment, but apparently, they were. Why are you? Just to let everyone know, okay? It wasn't that bad. Jesus fucking Christ.
If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country.
Like, genuinely, how do you win how do you win, like, a statewide election when you talk like this? I understand. Listen, I've heard his voice before, okay? But, like, it's just, it throws the moment into stark contrast. You're not just trying to win among Democrats in the state. You are speaking to the nation. You were speaking to the nation. Everyone just saw a video of you, a U.S. senator, being thrown to the ground and handcuffed by a bunch of thugs. You have, the microphones are on you.
We will hold this administration.
You're kind of missing the point, aren't you? Why are you picking this apart instead of just playing a video? This is the point! They're going to kill all of us. Don't you get it? The reason we're in this position is because we have a uniquely weak Democratic Party. Like, this is the point. The point is this weakness. These people, this man, will not save us. Their removal might save us. Like, there needs to be an overwhelming condemnation of this weakness. Why do we allow this weakness? Why is it? Listen, politics is much more consequential than sports. But if your team's captain kept picking random fucktards off the street and put them in place, You know, oh, the fucking frontman. Oh, no. This is just a guy I found at a taco stand. And they lose. You would condemn them for the incompetence. Why, for something as inconsequential as a sports game, do we get invested in the competence of our team? But with something as important as politics, we just throw our hands up and go, oh, they're just like that. They're just like that. Like, it's just a coincidence. They're all just like that. Like, this is why we're in this position.
Accountable. And we'll have more to say. We'll have more to say in the coming days. Let me say just briefly in Spanish as well. Soy el senador Alex Padilla. Y estuve aquí porque tuve una
Let me repeat this, but in Spanish.
Junta para recibir más información de los representantes de la administración. Especialmente porque desde el principio...
Again, these are people with teams, okay? They're senators. Millions and millions and millions of dollars run through them in their office, okay? They're very powerful, well-connected people. It is insane that you will consistently hear more passion and better rhetoric from random protesters, random college students downtown, than you will see from these elected officials. Meanwhile, the Republicans never let any incident go to waste. Any excuse they can use to fearmonger or cry or rally people. Fight! They're cringe fucking devotees. They're cult members wearing little gauze earrings in solidarity with Trump for getting nicked by the air around a bullet or something that God directed into a volunteer fireman behind him in all his grace and mercy.
De Donald Trump, y especialmente esta última semana por lo que ha ocurrido aquí en la región de Los Ángeles, hemos pedido más información para entender las pólizas, las estrategias de la administración. Y las respuestas han sido mínimas. Tuve una junta aquí para...
Even his body language, this like... This is the way a substitute teacher speaks when he knows he can't control the room but has to like read off the syllabus that was given to him by the real teacher.
Recibir más información cuando me di cuenta que la secretaria NOM tenía una rueda de prensa en el mismo edificio, en el mismo piso. Calmamente fui a escuchar para ver si podría...
Bless him for being too sensitive. He's not sensitive, he's just weak. They're just weaklings. They're weak people. Like I said when the Ken Martin crying video got leaked, okay? The reason Democrats are uniquely weak is because with Republicans, you have a continuity of thought. There's a synthesis. They are cruel, evil people, and when they're elected, they then get to do cruel, evil things. There's a consistency there. But there's a special kind of weakness it takes to choose a person who runs on compassion, but then governs as a corporate lobbyist. That requires weakness. That's not some Kevin Spacey House of Cards, mind master, I manipulate the public shit. That's just weakness. They're just complicit. A lot of Democratic politicians start out with good intentions, but because they are weak, they are broken effortlessly, and they just turn into corporate stooges. They have no real interest in governing. They're just there to administrate the system and make sure the lobbyists have a direct line to their office. So they're weak people. They have no familiarity whatsoever with the actual theatrics of politics, which the Republicans, by the way, are effortlessly mogging the Democrats on time and time again.
Aprender algo nuevo sobre los esfuerzos.
Bosch sits in a chair while playing with a cat and shopping for skinny jeans and calls a senator who was detained for protesting weak. You might not have gotten banned, but suggesting that I advocate for buying skinny jeans? Oh, buddy, you're so far... You don't even know. You're so far behind. Do you think skinny jeans are what the cool kids are buying these days? You have no idea. You have no idea. You're so far behind.
Las acciones del departamento. A un punto de la rueda de prensa, traté de hacer una pregunta. Muy calmado, todo tranquilo, tuve una pregunta y casi inmediatamente
Like, even in Spanish, there's no passion in Spanish. Who are you speaking to in Spanish? People who don't speak English? People who don't speak English but speak Spanish, who live in California, who are your constituents, are probably terrified right now. Why are you talking to them like this? If I went to the average resident of Los Angeles who did not speak English but spoke Spanish, who needed you to translate the Spanish as you are right now, they would be speaking with 1,000 times as much passion as you.
Los agentes me sacaron, me forzaron de la sala. Primero me hicieron hincar, después completamente al piso me pusieron esposas. No me arrestaron, no me detenieron. Pero una gran pregunta es esta: si esta es la reacción a un senador con una pregunta, imagínense lo que están haciendo con cocineros.
I just want you to think. He recently voted for that cryptocurrency bill that sells out our bank insurance system. Of course he did. He's a California senator. Much like New York senators, he's around, he administrates over one of the financial capitals of the country. Of course he did. Just ask yourself, if a Republican senator, okay, imagine for a moment that, I don't know, Lindsay, or what if, who's a good candidate? Hawley. What if Hawley had gotten arrested during the Biden administration? What if he had gotten dragged to the ground and handcuffed, and then 30 minutes later he had the opportunity to speak to the entire country? What do you think that would have sounded like? What do you think that language would have sounded like? How do you think he would have spoken? It's his job, man. Immediately, the moment he had access to the people around him, which he would have been surrounded by aides, by the way, those aides would have started suggesting lines, taking notes. Reference this, don't reference that. What should you go with? You want to go with this? You want to go with that? Carefully curating out a speech. And 20 minutes later, we would have gotten some fucking beer hall putsch shit. We would have gotten some fiery, some incendiary rhetoric. Some stuff that probably would have been borderline like, you know, illegal, threatening. But he wouldn't have gotten in trouble for it.
Jornaleros.
It's so much easier to be a Republican than a Democrat.
Y otros inmigrantes no violentos en la comunidad de Los Ángeles, en otras áreas del estado de California y en el país. No voy a tomar preguntas en este momento, pero sí quise explicar lo que ocurrió y tendremos más que decir en los días que vienen. Just want to once again, for not just the community here in Los Angeles, but throughout the country, because there is a lot of concern, there is a lot of tension, there is a lot of anxiety, and a lot of people are beginning to make plans for what they may or may not do come this Saturday. I encourage everybody to please, peacefully.
Holy shit, I'm actually gonna crash out. The first prescriptive statement he makes during his entire speech is, remember guys, just don't do anything that this country deserves to rot and die. I hate the Democrats more than I could ever hate the Republicans. I cannot believe how much they do. It takes actual effort. It takes effort to be this fucking spineless, man. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God.
Protest, just like I was calmly and peacefully listening in that press conference and attempting to ask a question. Why did you? No violence, no vandalism. Please continue.
Please be nice. Yeah, they're detaining and handcuffing senators for asking questions. Don't like make a moment of this. Everyone, I want to be as uninspiring as possible. I am working right now. I can't believe it. He is actually, this isn't a joke, his rhetoric is significantly less inflammatory than Schumer's. I can't believe it. It's not an exaggeration. It's true. We literally saw Schumer's rhetoric 30 minutes ago. We literally saw it, and it's true. It's objectively true.
Peacefully protesting, and that's all I will have to say today. Thank you very much.
That's all. The only thing you have to say after video of you being thrown to the ground and handcuffed by these thugs is just go out and protest peacefully. Just please don't, no graffiti, okay? No No graffiti. That's all. That's the only thing you have to say. I'm gonna crash the fuck out. I can't believe it, dude. I hate them so much. I'm here for the crash out, but I feel for the dude. You shouldn't feel for him. He's a corporate stooge. He would set your entire family to be killed if it raised the profit margins of one CEO's company by a fraction of a percent. He doesn't care about you. He is personally weak and cowardly, and it allows his office to be used for corporate, like, you know, power seeking, power capture. But as a consequence of his weakness, he can't even defend the corporatist institutions that he was put in power to protect. He is a worthless human being.
Give us any insight what you and the secretary said afterwards.
Why did you come in and do that? Why did you disrupt it?
Christine, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but
Remarkable to be so weak that in a moment like this, with your arrest, the video would have more aura if I didn't include your statement after. That's remarkable. It really is. If I only included the first chunk of this segment and not the second chunk, then it would be like, oh my God, big pivotal moment. But then you get reminded, then you remember, like a weight settling in your stomach. You remember what the Democrats are like. A party of losers. Those poor reporters showed up expecting something interesting. Yep. Yep, sorry guys, nope. Dead party. There is one political party in this country.
as you see, Senator Padilla is walking away from the press conference right now, and I'm not going to chase it.
Basically, Padilla just made it legal for ICE to handcuff anyone for any reason. Padilla just told the entire world that the Republicans can do whatever they want. Oh, is this the consequence to a senator getting arrested or detained, forced to the ground and handcuffed? This is what happens? You get nothing? No consequence at all? Okay. Good, we'll do it again next time.
No problem. As long as I could.
Absolutely sickening, man. If those thugs had treated him a little bit more roughly, then maybe he wouldn't have been able to make this press conference, and we could have at least gotten a few days of pretending the Democrats care about something like this. If they arrested him and kept him in a cell, then we could have a couple few, you know, oblivious days where we're like, oh, dude, they just straight up arrested a senator. Maybe now the Democrats will finally do and or say something about it. Of course, then when he gets out or finally speaks to a reporter, he'd be like, listen, guys, I understand we're all very afraid for our democracy right now, but the most important thing is don't spray paint when you're protesting this regime. Historians are going to make a fucking mockery of us. You all know that? It's not your fault, but you're going to be, you know, locked in with the era of people. Like, they're going to be asking, like, dude, why the fuck didn't... Your grandchildren, when you're, you know, when they get to that point in their history classes, if you have grandchildren, if there are history classes in the future, they're going to be like, so you're just okay with this? I hate them far more than the GOP. At least the GOP are playing to win. The other fascist movements have opposition this week. The world is very different now than it was then, but I guarantee you that the Democrats are weaker than the SPD. I guarantee you. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Europe appeased Hitler all the way up to Poland invasion. That's like broader appeasement. I'm talking about political resistance within Germany. I don't care what's going on in Argentina, Merriman. My country is being destroyed. I don't care what's happening in Germany right now, Esmelia. My country is being destroyed. Selfish? Yes. Mate, you say this thinking most of the European public doesn't believe the US admin is a fucking joke. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't understand what point you think you're refuting. I'm just angry at the Democrats. Steve Bannon is calling for Senator Padilla to be jailed. Good, I agree. Democrat Party acts like domestic terrorists. If you want to stop this, jail him. Good, you know what? He's playing to win. What are you doing? What the fuck is Gitter? I don't know. Pedophile, Nazi... Twitter? I have no idea. Getter? I have no idea. What does it mean that Bannon thinks that is domestic terrorism? He doesn't think it's domestic terrorism. He's willing to lie to take advantage of a pivotal moment. It's called playing to win. It's called having political operatives who are halfway competent. Now, the cool thing about the Democrats is that right now, for Democrats to take the moral high ground, they wouldn't have to lie. The truth actually, see, that's the pivotal difference. Steve Bannon turns a losing play into potentially strong rhetoric. Democrats turn a winning play into weak rhetoric. Remarkable. If enough Dems get arrested, maybe they would grow a spine. They won't. I promise you they won't. All right, moving along. It might be the case that most normies simply see the headline ICE arrest Dem senator and blame the Trump administration. Doesn't matter. What matters is the follow-up. What matters is months and months and months of coverage of the event. Seeing sound bites from politicians and pundits talking about the injustice, the outrage, the overreach of the Trump administration. It doesn't matter. If you have a moment, but you let it go to waste, it was worthless. There was no point at all. In 5 days, no one will remember this. In fact, by tomorrow, nobody will remember this. It's done. It's already over. Padilla ended it. He went up in front of the podium and he said, essentially, I have nothing to say except don't protest too hard tomorrow. That's it. Who's Padilla? Good question. At least they have not really secured military support. It doesn't matter. Oh, come the fuck on. Like if he said anything mildly more affirmative, it would have made a difference in the Republican response. Who the fuck cares what the Republican response would be? How do you, listen, okay? Genuinely, I need to be clear about this. I despise you because your weakness is infectious. It transmits like a disease, okay? You spread, and you believe, in spite of the evidence to the contrary, you believe that the point of making an issue out of an event is to immediately change the mind of the Republican politicians who will say the same thing no matter what. When in reality, and this is demonstrably proven, this is overwhelmingly proven, this is, can't really argue against it. If you stick to your talking points and you go hard on them over and over and over and over again, people will believe them. Your name is B_thing and you have the she/her tag, so you're a trans woman. Just gonna guess that. 90 to 10 on that, okay? Did you know that support for trans people was higher 10 years ago? And throughout the first Trump administration. You know why? Because Democrats talked about it back then. They don't now. Did it make a difference in terms of what Republicans did? In the immediate sense, no. Republicans on day 2 are going to say what they're going to say regardless of what you say on day 1. But in the long run, yes, actually. Because even though transgender issues were a talking point all throughout the first Trump administration, they were not anywhere near as aggressive as they have been in the second half of Biden's administration and in now this second Trump administration. Why? Well, Democrats stopped talking about it. And without an affirmative position to rally around, the negative position of the Republicans became the only remaining one. It dominated the mainstream discourse. Now you don't have pro-trans, affirmative trans, arguments anymore. You just have the Republican counter arguments, the attacks, against the normative position. And that's a losing position. We're backsliding right now because we are weak. So you're saying if Dems stop talking, Republicans get the green light to do whatever they want? Yes. You can expect a backsliding in basically every issue now that Democrats are too weak to talk about it. Gay marriage, Republicans have backslid. Interracial marriage, I bet you in the next few years you will see a backsliding. Immigration, massive backslide. Enormous backslide on all sides of the aisle. More and more Americans every year, since Biden got inaugurated, believe that this country is under threat by immigrants. Fear of a crime, backsliding. Transgender rights, backsliding. All of it. Why? Democrats provide no messaging. They're weak and they're killing you. And when they're driving a knife into your heart and you're saying, well, what do you want them to do? I think they can be better. The Republicans are stupid and incompetent, and they're still so much better on this than Democrats on playing the game. It's infuriating. Apparently, Dems are shouting at Republicans on the floor. Anyone have a C-SPAN clip? Massive shouting fight in the floor. House Democrat is screaming at Mike all over to get off the Democratic side of the floor. We got a C-SPAN clip? I think it's this. That's it. They're yelling pretty loud. They're being picked up on the microphone, even though they're like 200 feet away from the microphone. Apparently, a New York Democratic representative is shouting for a Republican to get back to their side of the floor. Oh, by the way, Democrats need to act with overwhelming contempt towards Republicans. Bipartisanship is done. The reason Republicans will occasionally grit their teeth and smile around Democrats is because Republicans know they're going to get what they want anyway. Every Democrat should treat every Republican exactly as badly as they deserve to be treated. They should be looked at with contempt. They should be shouted at. They should be menaced. They shouldn't commit assault. That would be illegal. No one thinks anything violent should have been done to Hitler. Famously, one of the opinions people hold. Also, this in the Oversight Committee.
Just shut up. Shut up. Just shut up.
No, you don't. No, you're not going to tell me to shut up.
Let's. How do you get him in order? You're running for the.
Not like that.
He has been out of order 6 times. He's trying to get on MSNBC. You probably knocked.
I get it.
Somebody off MSNBC to get on there.
I
think because he's been arrested as a former Antifa member, right?
Back to order, Miss Green. Go.
He's a former Antifa member.
Wow, Republicans sure have no qualms with being randomly belligerent and talking over people.
Mr. Chairman,
you got
no
it.
surprise.
Who's a former Antifa member? Me?
Yeah, you.
I asked that these words be taken down.
No, Miss Green.
Thank you.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
There's a motion.
Governor
Ms. Green is recognized.
Governor Hochul, you stated that you're a proud Democrat, proud registered Democrat.
All right, we got to suspend. There's been a parliamentary move.
Look at this.
Can't follow the
Shut
rules.
up. Just shut up.
No.
By the way, the belligerence here is from the guy with the gavel. Like, the Democrats will just let themselves get trodden all over. Democrats will lay down on the ground and let Republicans use their face like a doormat, and then look up expectantly to see if anyone's giving them applause for being so civil with it. Like, look, I took that like a champ, right? Yeah, they show their belly all the time. In a Darwinian sense, there's the fact that the Democrats still exist at all is a fucking miracle.
But the most clear I will ever be. This is the stuff of dictatorships. It is actually happening. A United States senator was manhandled, shoved to the ground, and cuffed.
Nah, don't worry. Padilla said don't worry about it. He just said, like, don't spray paint or whatever. You know, that would be, if Padilla could go back, listen, he would have one very important message to the Jews in Weimar, Germany in 1932, okay? No matter what happens, do not spray paint. Do not spray paint! He would learn German just for that. He would read it out to them from his phone, like the way he spoke in Spanish, you know? Hold on 1 second. Google translate English to German. Sprechen Sie keine Farbe. Okay, he would, like, read that from his phone.
Sprühen Sie keine Farbe.
Sprühen Sie keine Farbe.
Sprühen Sie keine Farbe.
Oh, I like it. Does, yeah, it does it slow on the second click. That's right.
Identified himself. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. That should be enough. That should be enough. A United States senator who is, by the way, protected by the speech and debate clause of the Constitution of the United States and a specific statute that allows him to oversee immigration facilities. And he says,
okay, but how do we get power back? I'm not joking, and I apologize for being, like, overbearing with this, but if I could just, like, if I could just have a word with every Democrat pundit, politician, activist, whatever, and just Clockwork Orange them a few segments, I genuinely think, and it's not just me, by the way, it's not just me, it's not that I'm special, okay? It's if you just made them act the way I'm describing, I think that 2026 would be a blowout in their favor. I think it would be an insane blowout. They just need to get the word in. All of you, right now, you're being aggro as fuck. You're calling them pedophiles. If they sue you, fine, deal with it in court. You have money. All the people in the House, you all have millions of dollars. Oh, they sue you for libel and slander? Then tank it. Okay, then make a show of it. Go down to the courts and forget. Yeah, he is a pedophile. We know Epstein had 9 numbers to contact him. Have that come out in discovery. Plus, they are pedophiles, lol. Yeah, well, that too. That helps definitely with like the proceedings. Be aggro. Insult them. Be contemptuous towards them. Stop giving a shit about the corporate donors. Genuinely, stop. The Democrats have had enormous success fundraising off of grassroots campaigning. Bernie, Mamdani, it's very, very clear. The reason Bernie didn't win is not because he didn't grassroots raise enough money, but rather because corporate money stood against him in the form of other Democrats. Same with Mamdani, right? How much corporate money runs through Cuomo? He was able to easily meet the quota through grassroots fundraising. You don't need all that corporate money, okay? Corporations are giving you little dustings of money and telling you to beg for more, okay? You don't need that shit. The super PACs will fill up anyway. You promise competence and stability, there are corporatists who will back you just for that. There are super PACs that will defend you just because they fear what Trump tariffs will do, okay?
I'm a senator and I have a question. And to Chris Murphy's point, they said, well, he was being disrespectful. Being disrespectful is legal. Being disrespectful is American. Being disruptive is okay if it's just...
I like this, though.
...using your words and not your body.
Well...
This is the stuff of dictatorships, and the thing that is making me most terrified is I see 0 Republicans, except for the presiding officer, in this chamber. And I understand. If it's not a member of your own party, you want some context. There is no context that justifies this action. Alex Padilla is not required to be impeccable in every single way in order to exercise his responsibilities as an American and as one of the two.
Needs to be a lot more mean and a little bit less, but we follow the rules the right way. But like altogether, it's preferable.
That represents California in the United States
whiny,
Senate.
yeah.
This is the stuff of dictatorships.
But better, to be clear. I'm not unpleasable.
One of the officers who throws him to the ground, as he's clearly complying, cuffs him face down on the carpet. And they say, there's no recording in here. It's a damn press conference. It's for recording. They didn't want to hear his speaking. And if the internet got it accurately, the secretary was there and delivering her remarks within earshot the whole time. She has command authority over those agents who are arresting a leader in the legislative branch. This is not some thing on the internet for us to argue about. We all know what we saw.
This should be the minimum dead rhetoric for, on this. Yeah, no. I like. I don't think I've heard this man speak before. You know, I don't remember every House member, of course. I don't even remember every senator. But no, this is quite nice. Unfortunately, we're limited on time. No, I'll finish the bit. We have to move quickly.
We all know what we saw. I remain hopeful that Leader Thune and other Republicans can walk us back from the brink. But I am not so sure anymore. So as Trump's Department of Homeland Security raises the stakes and continues with a series of provocations to justify increasingly authoritarian actions, we have 2 obligations. One is to establish that as a legislative branch, we are not going to stand for this. And the other is those people who are peacefully protesting, be very disciplined this weekend.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. Listen, I'm really sorry, but you gotta internalize this. I'm all about the optics game sometimes, but the Republicans will call them insurrectionists literally no matter what. You could have 100,000 people marching, and if one of them so much as makes a face at an officer, that'll be the guy in the front of every YouTube video, every press release. You know, they'll find one guy. There's nothing you can do there. I do think movement discipline is important, but I don't think it should be stressed as a matter of importance because you need to follow the rules. I think it should be stressed as a matter of importance for like effectiveness. There's a kind of like a subtle difference here, but it is key. Look, at least this guy is trying, okay?
Be very peaceful this weekend. If we are going to win, we need to maintain the high ground. And I don't mean...
Okay, well, all right, never mind. Hold on. You're so close, man, but you have one more barrier to overcome, which is that your enemies are ontologically evil, they like evil, and you're not winning this one by trying to appeal to their better sensibilities, okay? Like, the Civil Rights Act was not passed because the sacrifices of the civil rights protesters were successful in moving the hearts of hardcore, diehard segregationists. They were successful because they were able to move the heart of people who were racist, but like, you know, not super committed to the position. The problem is that evil is the policy of the Republican Party. It's not a few people there being evil and the rest of them are going along with it because they're scared. They're all evil. They like the evil. The evil is the point. They're not incidentally evil. They're not being wooed on the evil. They'll just keep being evil. This, when we go high, they go low stuff. No. When they go low, you bring the boot down. You stomp.
We blue, we Democrats.
But when you stomp, you lower your boot to their level. No. It's true. When you bring the boot down, your boot is low, like the thing you're stomping on. But there's an experiential difference between the boot and the thing it's stomping on, you know?
I mean, we Americans who believe in this system of government, I have never, ever, other than January 6th, been so outraged at the conduct of an administration.
Well, whatever. Hopefully he doesn't see Padilla's speech and go, oh, never mind, I guess it's fine then.